I went to this event about social media. I love social media. Social media is such an amazing thing if it's used positively. But we did a survey with young people. And young people, the majority of young people were spending over 8 hours a day on social media. That's a full-time job, only you're not being paid, And some of the impacts on that is that you're always connected into something. You're never switching off. You're overthinking. And there is an argument in this article about how that can impact, on your cognitive development. 100%. If you're not able to relax and decompress and reflect and think about things in a deeper, more meaningful way, you're always looking for the next thing or the next piece of information, then it is going to have an impact. It's going to increase anxiety levels. And one of the most common things, particularly amongst young people who are constantly screening through their phones and looking at Instagram and Facebook and everything else, there is this compare and despair type, behaviour that comes with it. They're looking at how everybody else is living their lives, and then they're measuring that against their own lives and how they feel and their sense of whether they're adequate or good enough. And those are the worrying things for me. And I would never demonise social media in that way, but we have to be very, very aware of our own relationship with social media and things like that too, and those impacts. And I would encourage parents to find out just a wee bit more about the stuff. I think, particularly me, sometimes I hear a new thing that's happening on social media, I haven't got any idea about it, and then I have to go and work out what it's all about because I'm going to be working with young people, so I need to understand it. Sometimes parents don't really do that. They think Facebook or they tar it all with one brush, and quite often, I think when we understand it a bit more, we're less frightened of it, we're able to control it, and we're also able to maybe say, that's maybe not a bad thing that they're using that, but we need to moderate that a bit more. So I think, again, I coming away from this whole thing thinking that there is a balanced way to it, a balanced understanding needed, but that we can't demonise it. We can't just look negatively at it and think that it's ruining the world, and we have to get real as well. Technology is moving very, very quickly, and we have to embrace it, and we have to recognise that there is going to be more screens out there, but some of the best experiences that you're ever going to have in life are going to be when you open the front door and you walk out of it. And that's the main thing. So yeah, I suppose my thoughts there would be we need to try and understand our relationships more with social media rather than just tar them all with we either love it or hate it, and how is it impacting on us both mentally and physically in regards to our own health and well-being.
A few takeaways from what you were saying there, Sean, I think that seem significant to me. One you pick up on is a very good point, which this article doesn't really, is worth making. This article obviously is screen time with regards to children, but exactly like you say, what about young adults or adults as well who work, and spend, like you say, I think that there's still a question there of, because there's a danger, like you say, that we box screen time in with children and demonise them through the different means. But like you say, for a big, huge amount of his population is spent working. So that's another area you could add work to gaming and watching TV or whatever the screen time may be, phones, smartphones or whatever it is. I always think that film Office Space, have you ever seen
No.
Office Space? It's a pop cultural reference. It's a film, but basically like these people that spend their whole days in these little pigeonhole type office things in front of screens, and the kind of relationships and insanity that ensues from working in that environment. It's like pigeonholes for people, it questions that whole environment. It's interesting. If you've not heard of it, check it out. Very funny film. The second point that you made, I had a brain fart and I forgot it.
That happens to me all the time.
So I'll need to watch the video back to remember what it was, but it was a very profound thought. And
thanks very much.
I know that much. The third one I think I picked up on was this idea, because the article picks up on it, the whole idea around addiction. I think gaming now is, by the World Health Organization, is recognised as an official disease. Does that sound right?
Yeah, well they've realised that it's a mental health condition, and it's actually a diagnosis now as well.
Diagnosis.
Yeah,
so like gaming can be recognised as an addiction basically.
Yeah.
I think, like you say, I would have concerns around yourself, like whenever involved in youth ministry and work, is our dependency on, especially like the smartphone, the phones. You can see young ones. I say young ones, but even we're all guilty of it, who have those kind of technologies, the dependency on it, the anxiety and the arguments and fights you have to often get, which is almost like an extension of their being now, to get these devices off when they're not connected that way. Can be a little concerning at times of how dependent this particular screen time generation, for want of a better word, are attached to these things, So I think there is, and like you say, the relationship thing. If I had any advice for parents, it would be, don't be afraid to see it as opportunity as well. Like say, if your kid is spending a lot of time on these devices, then just don't be lazy in the sense of, well, just that they're happy, they're in the corner. See what they're doing. Try and engage them in some way. Try and learn about it. Participate in it with them. And parents will sit down and play FIFA or whatever it is with their kids, and they mightn't be into it, but it's a bonding way. It's a way to get familiar with their kids' world, and engage with them rather than that more disconnect with just, well, they leave them in their corner, they're playing their wee game and that's fine, leave them to it, so I think that's good advice as well. I don't think there was anything else in the article that I'd highlighted here, Sean. So unless there's anything else, any takeaways from this whole?
Definitely. Biggest takeaway for me, I think that I'm going to start to speak to young people about anyway, is to try and get a bit of a gauger about their awareness of how much time they may be spending in front of screens, whether that's Netflix or TV, and there are other providers of online video streaming there too.
I know that sounds like I'm not sponsored by Netflix.
No, not yet.
It's the only one I kind of know.
So we've got that
in
front of their phones or in front of computer consoles, and to try and add that up, because most of that leads to a sedentary lifestyle, which means we're not getting up and moving around enough. And when you're young, it's easier to keep the pounds off, isn't it? And sometimes we don't see potentially I know I sucked my belly in there when I said that, but sometimes we don't see at a young age the impact that these things are having on our health. But they are. And that's one thing to think about. The other thing is that at some point in your life, you have to go into the real world and meet people and talk to people and socialise with people, whether that's in work or further education. And if you want to do well in life, you need to learn those interpersonal skills. And it's very difficult to sort of, enhance those communication skills and learn how to have conversations and to be confident in doing that when you're spending too much time on your own in front of this online world. And talking to somebody online isn't the same as talking to somebody in a room. So that would be one thing that I would encourage young people to think about more, and how it might be impacting negatively. The other side of it, I would try and encourage parents and older people like ourselves to think about is, how can we use the screen time that young people have to reach them in a different way, to educate them. And I know some of the secondary schools locally here in Belfast have apps and things like that are actually making students' lives a lot easier. Looking at timetables and looking at exams and little hints and when there's events and things like that, which is fantastic because it allows them to engage more. But for parents to go and ask questions or go online yourself and find out a wee bit more about this stuff, and also to be aware of some of the dangers of being connected online all the time too, and how you can put some privacy settings on and make it more of a secure online world for people as well. So there is a bit of education there. But for me, I think it's a positive thing, and I think we'll have to embrace change. And again, approach life in a very balanced way, that we're putting ourselves first. We're not putting our phones and our laptops and tablets and all the rest first. We're putting ourselves first and thinking about how is this impacting on me. That would be my takeaway.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I think, my takeaway would be, having read said article, I think, just approaching it in a more positive and healthy way, this whole idea, or certainly asking more questions around this whole idea of screen time, not just to blow in, like with the nieces and nephews and be like, you's young ones and spending all day on these computers and tablets, but to try and say screen time is part of our being now. There's no denying it. Like you say, it's part of our world, our existence. But to maybe more engage, what are you doing? What is happening on that screen time? Like you say, what are the positives and negatives perhaps, or how can you engage and relate and get involved in that? I suppose in this sense, rather than just say screen time, it's all negative, it's all bad. So certainly approaching it with more positivity and a more balanced view, rather than just seeing it as the big bad wolf that's going to ruin our kids and our society. Yeah. So of course, if you're watching this, it's because you're clocking up screen time,
which is a good thing in this circumstance.
In a good way. So the usual spiel, if you enjoy these little videos, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share them. Give a few wee details, are you, Sean?
Yeah.
Put you on the spot here. If you are affected by any, so part of what we're talking about here, obviously, Sean, back in the show, it's around talking about highlighting well-being in particular. So we'd like to make this a wee regular maybe show where we highlight issues like well-being, issues connected with well-being, whether it be screen time or other things, and maybe that. So
so if you're a young person out there aged 12 to 21, our service is completely free. We are based in North Belfast, and we provide support services, counselling, one-to-one support, group work programs, youth activities, and programs that try to encourage people to look after their health and their well-being in a very fun and exciting way. So we have had experience, like I've said previously, of young people who maybe don't go out or don't have much of a social life or maybe don't have many friends, and we can provide opportunities for those young people to engage with other like-minded people who also maybe aren't getting out. So we have programs and group work support programs for that as well. We also have any advice for parents. If parents need to come in and have a chat about some things that they're concerned about in regards to their young people, then definitely come on in and we can try and steer you in some direction with that. And again, if you just need to talk, if you're a young person out there that just needs to talk and is maybe feeling a bit anxious or depressed and you need to reach out and get some support, please get in touch with us. And you can do that. I know you're going to put our details somewhere on this video.
Links in the descriptions below, and there'll probably be fancy sound effects and graphics coming up at this point.
Beautiful. And you can use your screen time to send us, say, a Facebook message or send us an email or ask us any questions whatsoever.
Thank you, Sean. As always, thanks for giving your time and coming back on the channel, supporting the work we do here, obviously supporting the work of YEHA. Don't be a sofa surfer. And don't let your brain get fat. Fat brains. So reach out, and if you're affected, as I say, or feel you might benefit from any of these wonderful services available, especially in this area, just someone to talk. That's the beauty of this forum environment, that it doesn't have boundaries in that sense. You could be watching this at 6 o'clock in the morning in Australia or wherever it may be, and you just might be needing that talk. With these wonderful technologies, you can contact people in that way. So I'd encourage you to do that. So before we wrap up, Sean, I'm intrigued. I think we're probably roughly of the same age, believe it or not.
21-ish.
Would you believe it, that we're probably about the same age? Johnson's baby lotion has worked wonders for me, Sean. What's your secret?
Plenty of sunshine.
Fresh
air, and not standing so close to the camera.
Right. The big lights. So the camera puts £10 on you.
Right, okay.
So I think you owe me £5 of those pounds. So I was saying is, so I'm just interested, a big part of that article was around gaming. I'm just interested, were you a gamer? Did you play games when you grew up?
Do you know, I play games now.
More into it now?
Yeah, I did play games when I grew up as well. We had a Sega Mega Drive. Yeah, and we played. There was a
Mega Drive, love it.
Yeah.
You might need to explain that to some of our viewers.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as what you've got now, but it was definitely at the time, it blew our minds, I think. So the Sega Mega Drive, we had games like Sonic the Hedgehog, which was pretty good. You used to have to try and beat Dr. Robotnik at the end of most levels, which was pretty tough to do at the time. You couldn't save a game. So when you turned your game
Sonic
on,
was one of those funny ones. You had to complete it, sit down, and complete it in one go.
One go, yeah. So
there's no save points then.
No, so that was quite frustrating. Yeah. Then the PlayStation 1 came in. You could save stuff on that.
Exciting.
On a memory card. I remember that.
Memory cards.
Yeah, I think my first game for that.
Probably about that size.
They were pretty big. Yeah, and they were CDs as well, and you put them in. And yeah, I think my first game for that was World Cup '98 and Tomb Raider. Then I lost touch for a while with the whole gaming world, and now, most recently,
right. So what's which
I've got an Xbox One Slim.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm the envy of even my younger brothers and siblings who don't even have as good a console as I do, and I'm the ultimate champion, best sort of out there player probably in the whole of Belfast in FIFA 19.
Really? You like those FIFAs?
Aye, I do. I like FIFA, and I suppose the reason why I'm enjoying it is because after a really busy day, when you're out and about and everything's spinning through your head, it's a nice way escape for maybe an hour or so when you go home. So that's if I'm allowed to play it. But yeah, so again, I mean, that's why I refuse to demonise these things, but definitely in balance, you know. I think they can be useful and they can be wee switch off moments for us. What did you have, Frank?
I've got to be honest, like we have mortal enemies here. I was a huge gamer, big time into it as a kid, but like around the millennium when I was about 16, 17, 18, I kind of lost touch with that world and never really, always been fascinated and interested by it, but never really engaged in it. But I was a Nintendo man.
Oh, you were
Mario was my hero.
Wow, so still. Mario and Sonic were like arch enemies.
SNES and the Nintendo 64 and anything Mario games, Mario Kart, Super Mario 64 just like blew my mind away, and those kind of games would have been. And I loved the wrestling games as well. The old wrestling games were popular, and the FIFAs obviously they were a favourite amongst friends. What I loved, like the big game changer now, Sean, now isn't it, is multiplaying. Like back in the day, the Nintendo 64, you took your controller and you went round to your mate's house, and it was 4 controllers in, and FIFA went on, and you battled it out.
Yeah.
But now it's like I'm fascinated. I've never really engaged in it, but I'm fascinated with this whole idea that people are sitting with the headsets talking to people. I just think it's amazing. People talking to people from different parts of the world, and they're doing what we're doing. But no, you had to, like you say, it was a bit more of an effort multiplayer back in the day.
It was, yeah, but fun at the time. Fun at the time.
I don't really play modern games these days. I would like to get back into that world. I'm fascinated by it. I'd love to try this VR stuff, the Sony PlayStation virtual reality stuff. I'm quite intrigued by that whole development of it and stuff, but I still have old retro games consoles. When I do indulge, I tend to go back to 2-button fashion. Anything more than 2 buttons I see and I'm confused. These modern controllers are it's too much of a science for me. I'm caveman when it comes to games consoles. But I love the whole, I appreciate the industry. I think it's a wonderful, I don't think it gets the credit off.
Do you remember the Game Boy when it came out?
I did. We had the old Game Boy in the home. We had the original, you know, the brick. The brick Game Boy, like, and then it went through
black, grainy type screen with Tetris.
But the hours talk about screen time. Tetris. The amount of hours that game probably stole from my life. Yeah. You know, so simple but so
addictive.
Addictive.
So things haven't changed that much. They've probably just got a lot better, and
Alright, Sean, that what we'll need to do next time is set up. You into fighting games, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, they were quite
I'll have a
good.
go at it.
Or maybe FIFA, although now that I know that you're good at FIFA, I don't think I would be laying down
I might have talked myself up a bit there,
FIFA.
right? I'm not going to lie, I may have talked myself up a wee bit.
We'll need to lock horns on FIFA or something like that in the future. I'd love to have a gaming room, you know, and the other one to talk about screen time. I know with the kids, it's very popular. Have you seen this? Like, the kids, they'll happily spend ages watching other people playing games. This seems to be a thing. Have you seen this?
Yes, I've seen it. I don't understand
watching other people playing games, not even playing them. That's what I say. I give off to the kids when I go home. I say, wouldn't you just play the game yourself? But they seem to get more fun out of watching other people
Which
play.
is crazy, because when I was that age and you had to share, you couldn't wait to get the person off. You didn't want to watch them, so you could have a go. So I don't understand that bit. I don't understand that
That's
at all.
what I'm saying, a funny old thing. Yeah. But on that note, Sean, until next time,
thank you very
are you
much.
ready? Will we do it? 3, 2, 1. Bye for now.
No worries, mate. Good fun.